Good evening. So what happened today? This is... the worst day by far. It was just... I don't even know where to begin. I totally underestimated actually how extreme it is this far north.
So here we go. From the town of Alta, we head back onto the E6 over a mountain pass to Fjord. It turned out to be the worst day of my life on a bike. But on day 2, the weather finally clears up and we have 24 hours to be able to get up to Nordkapp and back down again as another weather front is coming in off the sea. The Arctic Tundra is spectacular and a marvel to ride, and at the top, wow, it really is special. As we come back down, we head to Honningsvåg, and from there we'll take a boat the next day. In total, 278 kilometers with 3,255 meters of elevation gain. This is cycling to the top of the world.
We're nearly there, guys. We are nearly there. I can't believe we made it. I can't believe we made it. Oh, it's just been... Two days just sitting out this horrible weather. Really want to cycle right now, but not in this. No way in a million years. So just sat here, just stood here waiting to ride. I don't want to be here. There's nothing to do. I just want to ride. That's what I want to do. I want to ride.
So here we are at Alta, and here is Nordkapp, 240 kilometers away. And in between lies the Sennalandet mountain pass, the Arctic Tundra, 400 meters above sea level and one straight road. Two problems.
I think here's another one now, it's just going to go past me. What's this? Yeah. There he goes.
It's a road renowned for speeding. And number 2, this peninsula kind of has its own unique microclimate. Extremely windy, and it's where steel signs don't stand a chance. And when it rains a lot. And that means land sometimes just disappears.
This is day 2 without riding, and I'm actually starting to get really agitated. It's so hard when you've been riding constantly every day, more or less for the whole trip. I've had two days off out of 30, and now I've had to sit out 2 days. I could have been in Nordkapp today if the weather had been good, but hey, that's the way it goes, I guess. There's nothing you can do about that. Tomorrow we ride, no matter what. So, stick around.
Now the forecast stated it would ease off a little on Thursday, so I threw caution to the wind and decided to plough on. But instead of easing off, the weather actually intensified. But I'd already made the decision. I was going.
Well, 2 days in Alta, absolutely pissing down with rain every day. And this is the third day, same again. But I just can't stay in this town any longer. I have to get further north. 110 k's today, we're going to get absolutely soaking wet. It's going to be very, very tough. Alright, there we go, Nordkapp 240.
My GoPro stopped working at this point. So from now on, all I had was my iPhone. And I just got limited footage. But I will do my best to tell this story.
Alright, about to rob a bank. No, it's this cold right now, my face is getting numb. So, yeah, I had to cover my nose and cheeks, so just getting numb. We're about 275 meters above sea level right now. I mean, it's just gone so cold, it's, I don't know, like 2-3 degrees now. My feet are unbelievably numb, my hands are numb, and it's just constant raining. This is the day, you know, I was dreading on the trip, to have a day like this. It's just, yeah, what can I say? I just got to keep going and just get on with it. I've done 30 Ks, I've got 80 Ks to go.
So I reached the top, and what I don't realise right now is actually how dangerous this 80 kilometres over the top is in this weather. At the moment in time, it's around 2 to 3 degrees, but with the wind chill factor, it's actually down to -3. But because the ground temperature is above 0, it's raining. It's freezing rain, and that is the worst situation you can have as a cyclist. Freezing rain for the next 80 kilometres. And every time a truck goes by, you just get absolutely covered.
So I'm up there, and at first I'm thinking, yeah, I'll just do this, no probs. And then it just hits you. Your face is getting numb, then your feet.
Well, the rain is coming down pretty hard now. Close to 40 meters above sea level. I don't even know how cold it is right now. I am absolutely freezing. I cannot stand around. I've got to just keep pedaling.
And then my gloves. You know, my gloves could not handle that sort of extreme with the wind and how wet they were as well. And my hands just started to get really, really numb, to the point where I couldn't squeeze the brakes, I couldn't change gear, and worst of all is I couldn't hold the handlebars properly, and it's a heavy bike, obviously, with a lot of weight at the front of it. I mean, it got to the point where I was so cold, and my hands were so, to the point where I couldn't even feel them. I had to just continue cycling. There was no other option.
So I'm in a really bad situation. And it dawns on me that I can't go on. I can't get off this mountain pass. I still had about 40 kilometers to go. And then I'm trying to think, well, what can I do? Am I going to try to flag down a car and get them to take me to safety? But then what am I going to do with my bike? Because 95% of the cars and trucks that are going past me aren't going to be able to take my bike with me as well. And the thought of leaving my bike, something that I've had every day that had taken me all the way to the top of Norway, and to leave it on this mountain pass was just unthinkable. But it got to the point where I thought, I'm going to have to do this. I have no other option. So I stopped the bike, and I'm just stood there waiting to see if a car will come along. And 5 minutes go by, and at that point I'm shaking so much, to the point where I think, okay, hypothermia is setting in here now. What am I going to do? No cars have come by for the last 5 minutes. I can't see any. I can't stand here. Zero shelter. I have to do something. I mean, survival mode is now in place. I can't believe this is even happening. My brain is just like, how is this even happening? How is this even possible? So I get back on my bike. I grab my bike, Bear in mind, I can't even hold the handlebars or anything. I just get back on. I'm resting my wrists on the bars to try to stabilize them, and I just cycle as hard as I can. And I'm thinking to myself, I can't do this for the remaining X amount of kilometers off this mountain pass. What am I going to do? I end up just going to fall off the bike and lie on the side of the road and just die of hypothermia. All this is going through my head. And then all of a sudden, the first little lay-by is there in front of me. And there's a camper van. I couldn't believe it. And it didn't even cross my mind. It was like a magnet. I just went straight towards it. I dumped my bike onto the ground. I got to the door, I just knocked on. Now can you imagine if you're in a camper van in the middle of nowhere, it's hammering it down with rain and wind and all the rest of it, and you're just on the side of the road and someone knocks on your door. That's gonna freak you out, isn't it? Of course, that's not going through my mind at this moment in time. All what's going through my mind is, I need to get into this camper van. I need to get into this camper van no matter what. So I knock on, and the door slowly opens, and this old guy just pokes his head round and just stares at me. And I just go, I am unbelievably cold. I'm freezing. Can I please just stand in your camper van for 5 minutes and warm up? And the guy just looks at me and says nothing. He doesn't speak English. So I'm like, jag är väldigt cold. Kan jag sitta i bobilen din i 5 minuter? Nothing. He doesn't speak Norwegian. And he just continues to look at me in amazement like, who are you and what is going on here? Kapla?
Kapla! Kapla!
Ah, Kapla, please, come on in. Drink my wine, enjoy my food, sleep with my wife, please, come on in. But we're basically just staring at each other and it felt like eternity. So I'm like, am I going to have to murder this guy?
I had to beat them to death with their own shoes.
And then all of a sudden, this old lady pokes her head around the door and she just says, come in, come in, come in, come in. And she pushes the old man out the way and she just drags me and pulls me in. And she says, sit, sit, sit. And she just points to the toilet and just to sit on the toilet because obviously I'm soaking wet, dripping, full of mud, everything. They've got carpet down. It's a lovely camper van. I mean, I felt really, really bad. The lady just bangs up the heat straight away, like full whack. And she gives me this big wool blanket and wraps it around me. I can't believe this camper van was there. I just cannot believe it. This is so fortunate. And after about 5 minutes, the shaking goes down. I start to get a little bit more control over myself. And the first thing I'm thinking is, okay, I've got a little bit of feeling in my hands. Right, I've got to film this. Because I'm thinking about the edit process. I'm thinking, I gotta film this. I pull out my camera, but then she comes along and I'm like, okay, this is a bit weird. I don't want to look like I'm filming myself in her toilet. That's just going to be weird. But I'm thinking about this for the edit process for this. So if you haven't subscribed, you should, because there's so much dedication.
Happy.
Yes. She gives me some food. And, you know, I can't ask for much more. But after about 10 minutes, it's getting a bit awkward. Okay, it's getting a bit, and I'm thinking, I can't go back out there yet. I still haven't got my feeling back in my body. So I've got to entertain them in some sort of way. So I see that, like, you know, there's a fishing rod over in the corner. So I'm like saying to the old guy, oh, you know, you fish, and doing all sign language and everything. And he's like, oh, yeah. So he's pulling out his phone and he starts showing me photos. I'm like, this is brilliant. Okay, mate, just go for it. Show me your photos. And I swear to God, he must have had about 4,000 photos of him, you know, in nature, him fishing. Just keep going, mate. Just keep going, keep going, keep going. Yeah, this one. Who's that? Was that your granddaughter? Oh, she's very nice. Have you got any more of her? Going, you know, so it was just like, I managed to get like 10 minutes of just looking at his photos and warming myself up in the process and keeping preventing it from being an awkward situation. But after the 4,000 photos, and we'd done them all, and I'd seen everywhere, and by the way, they were from Finland, if you're wondering. But I'm like, okay, time to go. I've got to leave. I thanked them, I got back on my bike, and I tell you something, it was about 20 kilometers off the mountain pass, 25 kilometers. I've never cycled so hard in my life. Never. As I started to come down, it was getting a little bit warmer, and it went to like about 2-3 degrees, and that difference between -3 and 3 degrees is huge, huge. And as I got off the mountain pass, I got to a truck stop, and I just sat in the truck stop for an hour and just going over in my head like what had happened and how I got into that situation, and I just could not believe it. I just could not believe it. So they have this saying in Norway: "Det finnes ikke dårlig vær, bare dårlig klær." There's no such thing as bad weather, just wrong clothing. Going over this mountain pass in bad weather is hell, no matter what sort of clothing you have on. But I was in Alta for 2 days, and I had the opportunity to buy some winter gloves that would get me over that mountain pass. And I didn't. I don't know why. Maybe to do with my budget, the weight in my bag, space, whatever excuse I could make. I just thought I'd be okay. And I took that gamble, and it didn't pay off. And it put me in a very difficult situation. I found this video of some Norwegians crossing the mountain pass in August. It was snowing with really bad conditions. But look what they're wearing. Now, you don't need to go to this extreme, but if you experience bad weather this far north, promise me, you won't underestimate it. I became complacent. I gained a false sense of security and felt I could handle Mother Nature. And that day, she punished me, and I deserved it. But she also taught me a valuable lesson, and I hope by sharing this, you won't make the same mistakes as me.
We're nearly there, guys. We are nearly there. Fucking hell. It's just non-stop raining. 110 k's on the clock. We're in Alta Fjord. Can't believe we made it. I can't believe we made it. Oh, it's just been the hardest day by far, by a long way. I can't even describe to you how bad it was crossing that mountain pass. This is my accommodation. Doesn't look the greatest, but I don't care. It's a roof. It's a roof. That's all I want, is a roof.